So you mentioned something to me today, which was super cool, and you were like, "Hey, I had this realization." What was it?
So for me, it was like, it just clicked. Like, I've been coming to the gym for almost 3 years now, and I've gained so much in that time. For me, when I started, it was for my headspace. I didn't want to lose weight. Getting fit was like the byproduct. And so what happened for me this week was the realization that, looking back on how far I've actually come from struggling, and I remember you talking to me about this, saying we don't want to struggle, we want to, or survive. You don't want to survive, you want to be able to thrive. And I'm like, okay. And then I'd turn up to the workouts and be like, fuck you, fuck this is fucking struggling.
Yeah.
But then what I've noticed is this resiliency, that mental resiliency, and I've reaped benefits over the last few years of coming off antidepressants, and just being able to not just cope with my life, but thrive with it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until this last week that it dropped in that next level understanding, because on your t-shirts you've got the goal digger, the empowered and chase your goals and go after your things. And I've always been like, just want to magnetize the things to me, or it's too masculine, or I don't know. It never clicked. I never quite understood it. And then this last week for me, what happened was realizing that the thing is, we've outgrown a house. So the personal part of it is that I want a bigger house for my family. And when I've been thinking about that, it's like, yes, I'm totally worth having a big dream house. Totally worth and deserving of that.
Yep.
And I wouldn't have that, I wouldn't be there if it wasn't for this mental resiliency. So it's that thing of, okay, that dream might make me feel a little bit uncomfortable because, oh fuck, it's more expensive, or I need to earn more money, or whatever it is. But this realization was, none of that matters, because I've proven to myself over the last 3 years that I have now this mental resiliency that I can not just survive, but thrive with whatever's thrown at me. And I'm doing it. I've got the 3 kids, I've got the partner working away, I've got all these things, and I'm thriving. I'm still turning up at the gym. I've had breaks, yeah, but I'm still turning up. I'm turning up, showing up for myself. And this thing was like, why don't we just go for the dream house then?
Right.
Why don't we just go for it?
Yeah.
Because let's just make it fucking happen.
Right.
And then that's when it clicked in. It was like, I have that mental resiliency now.
Yeah.
I can chase those dreams. And that's when all of that stuff fell into place.
Pew, 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 pew.
Yeah, it was like, oh, I get the goal digging. I get it. I'm like, I am worthy of that. I'm not only am I worthy or deserving of these epic things, but I can do it.
Exactly, yeah.
I can, and if there's hiccups along the way, I've got that mental resiliency to make it happen. And so now it's like, okay, so what are my dreams?
Right.
What else is there?
Exactly.
Okay, we're gonna go for the dream house. Yeah. Wicked. What else is there? And I'm not sitting in the back seat anymore. I'm like, I can take control of this. I don't have to rely on my partner, or we can work together and make even more epic stuff happen. But yeah, this was the exciting thing. Just
That's
to
so
realize
cool, right?
that. Yeah.
And I find that when you're put in a position to, obviously, you're almost forging that more self-worth. You're forging capability, being able, having a belief in yourself.
Yeah.
And you won't get that unless you push the boundaries, unless you put yourself right outside that comfort zone.
Yeah.
Not too far out, because then you'll,
set yourself
it
up
might
for
crash,
success.
right?
Yeah.
But if you're right outside that comfort zone, pushing a little bit further, and that's always what it was. And I remember you having this thing where I was asking how you're feeling, and you're like, I'm coping.
Mm.
And then when we talked, then you were like, man, I'm like, yeah, but what's the goal? You're like, man, I just want to cope. And then it was like, yeah, but you remember what you said, like you're coping now. So if coping is your goal and you're already doing it, you'll be like, ah. And that's when we sort of push the boundaries and infuse you with a belief that you can do it.
That there was more, that
Yeah.
I could, that, yeah.
And in the work, right, it was a lot of beliefs that were set,
Mm.
and we had to sort of destroy those beliefs and build new beliefs, didn't we?
Yeah.
Because the conditioning that we had, or the beliefs that we had, set us in a certain mold, or certain beliefs that we aren't able to, or we need a man at home all the time to do it.
Yeah.
And it was super cool to see, because you've been so good and so open and honest in that journey. It wasn't easy, you know, for you to, you know, share that or acknowledge that those were your beliefs. But you were very open to changing them, which was cool to see. And that's what it takes for you, and that's when it makes easier for a coach to develop those new beliefs, right? And so it's wonderful to hear. For me, this is never just about training. Do you know what I mean? And someone then can train for 3 years and then all of a sudden have this click based on a conversation that happened 2 years ago,
Yeah.
which is so cool.
Totally.
I love our little thing when we had the bro conversation. Can you share that a little bit?
The bro conversation. So, when I first started here, I was going through a lot personally, like breaking up, and my marriage was breaking up, and there was a lot of anger, I guess, still towards men and the masculine, patriarchy, whatever you want to call it. So this was stuff I was working through, and you would always call me bro. I'd be like, I'm a woman. And so I was trying to figure out, like, who I was still, like, as a woman, as someone, like, single, who am I as an adult? Like, all of these questions were coming up. I used to hate it. You'd be like, hey bro, and I'm like, I'm a woman. Can't you see that I'm a woman? And I guess it was because I didn't feel in myself that it was like I had to prove that I was a woman or something. Like, you can't call me bro because I'm a woman. Can't you see that I'm a woman? You know, like, I was so hung up on it. And but also when I spoke to you about that, because I'd always like go, I'm a woman, or women, all of that stuff. And then when I spoke to you about that, and then understood that it was coming from a place of like that's what you call someone who's your mate or something. It wasn't like.
So just for a quick backstory then, as I explained to you at the time, for me, I've grown up with women my whole life, like mothers and aunties and stuff like that. But I also had an older brother, and for me that was the closest connection. Never had a father, so for me the bro thing was like the ultimate form of, like, it was my father figure, it was my connection. He always took me on holidays, went snowboarding. I had the best experience with my older brother. And he was it was always hand-me-downs, but it was the computer, it was the motorbike, it was the snowboard, everything like that I loved, and the connection that we had was so brother to me.
So it's a term of endearment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because of where I was at when I first started here, and mentally, like, only just coping, and then not even sure of myself, totally not sure of myself on any level. I'm seeing, like, in hindsight, I can see that now so clearly. And so then for you to call me bro, it was a term of endearment on your behalf, but then I was just like, fuck you, I'm a woman! And now, and then over the course of the last few years, realizing, oh, it's a term of endearment. And, okay, all right, I can call you bro. I can call you bro. All right, bro.
And then we had a fun time with that, and you were like, yeah, cheers, bro, coming to the studio,
Bro.
or thanks, bro.
But then more recently, because of the journey that I've been on, embodying my masculine and feminine, and then coming back into the softness of my own feminine, and sending you that text that was meant for a female friend that was like, hey, lovely, la 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 la, la, and then you love hearted it. And I was like, ah, my bro,
Yeah.
I can be soft with
Yeah.
you. Like, I can be the sister. I
Yeah.
can bring in the softness. And
Yeah.
it's just that beautiful, so beautiful, that connection. And it's proof, again, of like how much more embodied and sure of myself I am, and that gratitude that you've been there that whole way through as a never changing support. You've just been you that whole time, unapologetically you, and you know that's gonna make me feel a bit emotional. But I really appreciate that about you, bro.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, and like I said, I really appreciate how vulnerable you've been in that journey, being able to like just put your shit out there so that we could dismantle it. Because if you block anything inside, or if you're like, I don't want to talk about it, it makes it impossible for anyone to change, right? But you've been very, very open, so it's been an absolutely lovely journey, and I think it's so cool to see that. And you know, it doesn't take a week. It doesn't. Some
Yeah.
people click straight away, and it's like, here's my shit, change me. And for some people, it takes long. For some people, it doesn't even happen,
Yeah.
which is heartbreaking. So, I really encourage you know, you to just keep on the journey and being open and looking. It's so good to self-assess. Am I a good coach? Am I a good parent? Am I a good person? Am I good to myself? Am I putting myself first? And the cool things we've seen now over the last 3 years is that you started to put yourself first, not because
100%.
you hate your body or because you hate things, but you put yourself first because you love yourself.
Yeah.
Having 3 kids, it's easy to put other people before you. We kind
And
of
it's
almost
easy
conditioned
to
to do
not
it.
turn up as well.
For sure.
Easy to make excuses.
Right. But you've been consistent. Yes, you've had breaks where it's been necessary, but you've been consistent and taking a break because of you. Not taking a break because of other people, but always then in that journey, put yourself first, whether it's a break or pushing hard or, you know, looking at things. And it's wonderful to see, and I think that's also meant that you've been a really good role model for your daughter and for your other boys. And just being able to look at things with a perspective, right? To look at the benefits of husband working away, having the kids, having the struggles, because finally you've been able to push because of the struggles, not because everything was vanilla.
Yeah.
What would you say have been, like, obviously the training's been good, but is there anything in the...
Obviously.
Obviously. Well, because training is good, right?
Yeah.
But is there anything else in what you've experienced here then that's sort of driven you along to this point, in addition to training?
Just with Elite in...
Yes.
Well, it's that consistency of you, like showing up, and being you the whole way through. Like that, to me, has been really a valuable support to know that you're here, and that if I did need to book a chat, that you're all for it, and that your motivation to be that support is so evident that I just knew you would be there if I needed you. And I've needed you, I guess I needed those chats on that one-on-one support a lot more early on, and that they are still like some of the best like life-changing moments that I've had having those chats.
Yeah.
But knowing that that you're there available for that if I need it, not that I'm needing it so much anymore, but if you're there, you're there. And just like when I turn up, even the 5 seconds before the class starts, and you check, you know, how you going, and I know that I can be honest with you and go, actually, you know, I'm not good. And you're like, right, well, let's book a time, or, you know, like that consistency of support has been like, yeah, amazing. That's for me the fundamental. Like the training is epic, and getting through a set, and yeah, it's epic. But that level of support is elite.
Yeah. No, well done. I really appreciate that, because for me, it's always been training is very good for us emotionally, mentally, and physically. But when someone really is willing to open up that sort of the inside, to
Yeah.
be like, hey, I'm vulnerable, here's what I'm struggling with, then amazing things can happen.
I haven't always liked what you've said as well. Like, I just want to put that on camera.
Yeah.
Like, it's been those hard conversations where I've walked away and gone, fuck him. Fuck him. I'm a woman. Or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like, they're the best. Like, that's what I appreciate as well, you know. And then the cheerleading, like, when I win, like, yeah, let's make this happen. That motivation. I know that you're there if I need it. Yeah.
So do you find that when you've gone away and felt like, fuck you asshole, like, I didn't like what you said, has that turned out to be like, you know what, actually it's true, with a bit of perspective?
It was those chats that I needed to actually take some time to process and not reject completely, but just give some space to it and go, oh, okay, like, yeah, I see what you mean there. All right, or how does that work? How can I see that perspective? Or, you know, how am I not seeing that perspective?
Right.
Yeah.
And what I love is, you know, when we have a perspective, I always go like, yeah, but how's that going? Because
Yeah.
if I can see a belief that doesn't pan out for you, not for me, not what I believe, but if I can't see your perspective working for you, and I'll offer an option or an alternative, and you go like, nah, fuck you, I don't like that. Like, you're a man or something, like, that's not
Yeah,
right,
what
or
do you
whatever.
know?
Yeah. And then you take some time, see the potential. If I believe that, what would that look like? And then
Yeah.
it's turned out to be
Yeah.
like, you know what? I can't refute it anymore. I do believe it.
Yeah.
And if that changes, just adapt again.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you now have to believe everything that we've said, but it worked for that moment.
Yeah.
And if you need to change your belief, adapt and change. Just like you did when you're a teenager, then when you met your husband, and then or your partner, your boyfriend, who became a partner, who became a husband, into the kids. Our opinions need to upgrade just like our phones.
Yeah.
And it's been so cool to see those upgrades, because it's this
been
far.
big.
Yeah,
It's
been
been
huge.
big. Yeah, it's been huge. It's been so huge. Like, when I first came to see you, I was literally on antidepressants, separated from my husband, and just self-worth down, like, so down. And now, and I love seeing new people coming in and flexing and going, oh yeah, because I'm like, yeah, I know that feeling. Because now I wear the things that I feel good about wearing, and that is such a reflection of value of self, that's invaluable, you know.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, and I love that. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thanks, Ellen.